Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and I'm back with another reaction to Krypton. We are now on episode 2 of the first season, and this one is called The House of El. So, we had a lot go on in the pilot, which was last week. Really liked it. I was very impressed with it. I didn't really go in with a lot of expectations, mind you, but it really was pretty impressive as far as I think we got a really good sense of what Krypton is like, at least in Kandor City. We got an introduction to the forebears of who we now know as Superman, and we got a little bit of background on why Seg is the way he is, so to speak, in the sense of, you know, having to watch his grandfather be executed, having to see his name be stripped away and shamed by I guess all of Krypton. I mean, I still don't understand how all these little cities work, because I guess Kandor City is kind of its own little microcosm, because when we looked at that first scene in the first episode, we saw there was a lot of these little cities that were under domes on Krypton, so I don't know how those relationships work or if we're going to talk about that. But anyway, we got a really nice overall introduction to Seg, his family, the relationships that he has with his friends, and that he's got a girlfriend in Lyta, but obviously they can't be together for a number of reasons. The main ones being, at the time, him being rankless and her being part of the Guardian Guild and obviously of a ranked family. And also, now that he is becoming ranked, he still has been intended, or I guess that's their way of saying engaged, to the youngest daughter of the Vex man. I can't remember his first name. So, plus it does look like the Seg's fiance, for bad lack of what I don't know what the Kryptonian term is for that. Looks like she might actually be into him, but I don't know. I have my suspicions about her. I think she has got an alternate agenda going on. I have a theory about her, what I'll talk about after this, but we'll see. We'll see what we see about her in this episode, and then I might change my mind. So, without any more chit chatter, let's get into this episode, and we can have a chat about everything later. Okay? Boom.
Does this really belong to my grandson?
No. Picked it up at a thrift store.
And why isn't he here?
Not born yet?
Why you?
A lot of reasons, but mainly because I can teleport across light years using a little something called the Zeta Beam.
Little something.
I know. It's a cool name, huh?
Can't help you.
What is the matter with you?
Look, I don't know what you expect of me, but I don't understand
parents
anything
just
about all
died.
this. My parents died before they could explain it to me.
Wait. You think that I could just get a ride back to the city?
What happened to your fancy beam, Mr. Strange? Thought you were all cool.
Darren Vex.
This is how Seg stays in shape, man. The cardio he takes in with all this running away is hilarious. Right behind you. It's kind of a terrible hiding spot. Yeah.
Rankless amateur.
I suggest you clean yourself up and get changed.
Into what?
I really don't want to keep them waiting much longer.
I was about to say, I'm poor, girl.
Trust me.
Nice. I like the addition of the blood. That's cool.
Now, only one. Do you know why?
Don't care.
At the time of creation, Ra looked out at the chaos and saw wasted potential.
I didn't realize we're coming here for a sermon, yo. Like, got things to do.
The most perfect of which became the only thing protecting us is the Force Dome, and the only thing protecting the dome is
the budget.
Order.
Oh.
Well, who can be bothered sorting out your actual terrorists from your regular, everyday, rankless shitheads?
Well, okay.
All right, boys. Who's ready to crack some rank?
There are some people on Krypton that will not be missed when the planet goes.
I never really cared about the scars. Sometimes
What's going on there?
I forget I still have them, or the ache in my shoulder that wakes me up every single day. I can live with that too. What I can't live with is knowing the people responsible were never found. They get to live free somewhere while my family, maybe,
Interesting.
rankless or Black Zero, but they provide cover for them.
Oh, so we
Please
should just
don't come to me again about innocent
kill
lives.
everyone. Okay, that's a great answer. Sure.
Black Zero almost assassinated the voice of Ra.
Until he was saved by a rankless.
True
I can't
that.
see them putting their lives on the line for him after we destroy what little they have down there. You had best be very careful of what comes out of your mouth next, Lyta.
Ooh.
Or perhaps you
That is her mama.
what compels you to defend the rankless at every chance you get. I just
Nothing, mother.
believe there's another way. You have neither the right nor the rank to question this. Given your recent training performances, your focus should be on staying alive.
Wow.
Nothing less.
That is the amount
Clear enough.
of SmackDown that was in that telling off, man. Woo. Lyta, you need to get your game up, girl. Your mama is smacking you down physically and verbally.
Only you know what's inside you, what you're capable of. You just need to be true to yourself. We both do.
A lot of strength in that girl.
Something on your mind?
Yeah, I hate
I
you.
wanted to ask you about my parents. I'd like to perform traditional funeral rites.
It's out of the question, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, Seg. I lost my parents when I was
No one
a
cares.
few years younger than you are now.
They probably died to get away from you.
Never recover. He developed a highly advanced computer system, but of course he refused to reveal its location.
That's right, jerk.
Through this,
There's a lot of naked, sweaty men in this show. Not a complaint, just an observation.
Do you have a moment?
You made me look like a punk.
Because you are
Make me
one.
help with that.
What did you just say?
Commander Quexel, I, Lyta Zod, hereby invoke the spirit of Jomon and our ancient traditions in challenging you to a Kandorian duel, of which the victor will assume command of this division and the right for their voice to be heard above all others.
Yes, Lyta!
Lyta, please, don't do this.
Screw you.
There's nothing I can do. Quix is bound by
There's nothing you were doing before.
mercy. That means to the death.
You think I don't know that?
Right?
Please,
Have you seen my
explain
mama?
this to me. Tell-
I'm not required to give a reason.
Woo!
Asking
Like
for
it.
one. As my superior. As your mother.
Oh, you remember. That strut, though.
Nissa,
Thank you.
thank you.
Still think that the reasoning behind it is suspect, but it was still a nice thing to do. Really? Again? You here to make her feel crappy about herself? Because if so, just go, sir.
You are Lyta of House Zod. You are a warrior. And you always have been.
Aw. Thank you. Now that's all her mama had to say. Alright, we don't totally hate this guy now. He's okay. He's aight. He's aight.
I'm always willing to look after Ona when I work nights. Never asked for anything in return.
Aw, she's a cutie.
I hope you know how much they meant to us.
Aw. That is cute.
Detractors to the highest.
Ooh, I like the outfit. This is stupid.
Fight with honor.
I don't think he can do that in his little onesie.
Begin.
Woo! That kick, though, if it had landed, it would have hurt. Oh my god. Come on, girl. Show them who you are! Wipe it away. Clean it. Place is dirty as hell. There you go.
The blood of House El will forever bind us.
That's what the blood in the intro meant. Ow. Okay, you don't have to do such a big cut. Like, just why don't we all just give like a little prick? Nice. Oh my god, is it changing color? That's boss. That's boss. What the? Nice. Well done. Good job. Grandpa! He's not real though, sweetie.
I'm a projection. A copy of Valor.
The elves like to do this. It really messes with their kids' heads.
But
He wants the hat.
I told you.
He told you he'd want the hat.
You said we had
Come on, a brother's bald. He needs to keep his head warm. Come on now.
Good deal.
You can get another one.
It's like your forehead's got a beak.
So true.
English? The Phantom Zone.
Ah. That's where he lost his odds, right? Oh, Lyta, her pretty face. Come on, girl. I know you can do. Yes! Yes! Woo! Come on, girl. You have not taken all these beatings all this years for nothing. That's right. Yes! That's right, girl. Yes! 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 Nope. Damn! Yes! That's her mama. Look at her.
We never
face.
Ask for
mercy. Her mama is terrified and I'm here for it.
To bear the sigil of my own house, I will not wear yours. I'd rather die rankless.
Now you listen to me.
No.
You listen well.
No. How is this guy just popping out of corners and shit? Like, where is he?
Arouse light, forever guide your way.
You too.
He's like, cheers, mate.
I'm voicing my displeasure here, in case you couldn't tell.
What do you want me to say?
I knew it. I knew it wasn't genuine.
May Rao's grace be your shield.
Oh, wow, she's smiling.
As a forward scout. Brainiac isn't on his way.
He's already here.
He's already here.
Damn it. Okay, so there we go. That would be episode 2, House of El. Another solid episode. I really like that they're really doing, I think so far, a really good job of just kind of continuing to build on this world. But what I'm liking the most, honestly, is the pacing. Like, even though this is what, maybe the next day or maybe 2 days since the premiere, we still feel like quite a bit has moved along as far as the storyline, and I still feel that sense of urgency. But we've got 2 main elements that have shown up that have really made it clear that there is going to be, like, there's an end to this that has to happen sooner than later. One, of course, is Kal-El's cape, Superman's cape, which is slowly disintegrating, but at least a steady rate. And then we've also got now, since the end of this episode, we see that Brainiac has sent one of his little scouts, so that means he's already seen Krypton and he's already in the area. So those 2 elements have definitely made it clear that, okay, we don't have time to linger, and hopefully we're not gonna have time for a ton of filler episodes either where the show is concerned. So anyways, I'm just happy overall that we're not gonna have to sit there and linger too long on a lot of these plots and storylines. And you know, considering that, like I said, what happened in this episode, you know, and the pilot transpired over maybe 3 days, that's pretty massive. So into the episode, some of the highlights, got to learn a little bit more about Adam Strange. Sorry, I should just caveat by saying, I saw some people saying like, you don't know this, you don't know this. Okay, I like to watch a lot of these shows kind of at face value. Now, I know that obviously Krypton is taking the assumption that most people are Superman fans, or at least have seen something to do with Superman in the past, but I also know that sometimes they don't necessarily go according to a script as far as the comics or anything like that. So I like to take a lot of these shows as they're giving me the information. Like, how are you telling the story to me and what am I supposed to take from it? And I kind of like the fact that I don't know exactly how this story is going to turn out, because then I don't have these expectations. I mean, I kind of had that when I was watching Game of Thrones, which wasn't a terrible thing, but you know, it's just kind of nice to be surprised by what comes into the episode. And also it helps me to see how well they're doing at telling the story by how much I can infer just by what they're telling me. So yeah, I have not read the DC comics. All the stuff of Superman that I know through movies, through a handful of animated series that I've watched. So things like that. So I don't really know all these. Like, I didn't know who Adam Strange was because he's never been featured in any of the movies, the big cinematic features that we've ever seen of Superman. So my apologies. I know some of this stuff comes across very ignorant as far as my knowledge of this, but it really is because I don't have it. and I'm fine with learning it via the show, but for those of you who are kind enough to give me that context and background, I really, really do appreciate it. So anyways, back to the episode. We learned more about Adam Strange. He told us about how he actually got to Krypton, how he keeps zooming kind of in and out of this world, and it's called by a Zeta beam, which he named himself, which allows him to travel light years. And apparently he can only go by himself, and Superman is not able to come with him. He says that Kal-El sent him. So it was nice to at least figure out how Adam keeps showing up. They didn't talk about the time limit, but apparently he can't do it for prolonged periods. We saw in the first episode that he disappeared. I also like seeing him team up with Seg's best friend there. And it's good. Like, I really like to see that, you know, in a show like this, Seg is definitely the focal point for the most part. But I like that, you know, his supporting cast, that they're keeping it pretty tight. Because I find sometimes in some of these bigger shows, they try to make these really big casts work. But so far, it's been really, really, you know, closed into a really good, tight group. You know, we've got Seg, we've got his best friend, and then we've got Lyta, we've got, I think it's Lyta is the name of the girl, the Vex girl. And of course, Adam popping in and out. But for the most part, it's this kind of really tight circle around Seg, and that allows for them all to have their own little bits of development and, you know, cool moments. And his best friend kind of got it in this episode, where he just kind of, you know, you need that best friend that, you know, you show up and say, listen, this is this guy who just showed up out of the ether, says he's from the future, and I need you to go hang out with him and do some stuff to prove that my grandfather wasn't crazy. Like, if you can drop that on your best friend, he's like, okay, sure, I'll do it. You know why? Because we're bros. Everybody needs that friend. If your friends aren't doing that for you right now, you need to re-examine your friendships. That was really cool to see, and I kind of like their little team up. I like that they're both kind of that smart, sarcastic-y type of person, and that they really kind of fed off each other really well in those last moments. But also that Seg has somebody that he can confide in, who's still living, and, you know, about the stuff that he really can't talk to anybody else about. Interesting to find a little bit more about the prospective mates of both Lyta and Seg. We already know that Lyta and Seg clearly love each other, but there's a big hurdle there. Like, before it was the fact that Seg was rankless, but honestly, it's just one of those things where they're the matching. We don't even know what causes the matching ceremonies. I guess the voice of Rao decides who marries who, but anyway, they can't be together, so they've been engaged to two other people. But I think it's kind of interesting that we're getting a little bit of information about how these other people, like what they're about, what they're like, because whenever you see a couple who's put together, and like I personally like Lyta and Seg together, whenever you see these type of couplings together, what they like to do in a lot of shows is villainize the other people, right? These people who are with them and either know that they're with other people, or in this case, both. I don't think that either Lyta or I'm sorry, I forget the name of the Sagittari guy, but I don't think that they realize that their intendeds are involved with other people. But you know what I mean? Like, sometimes shows like to villainize the others and be like, oh, you know, they're just terrible and this is why these two belong together. But I guess we're seeing that we're getting a little bit of insight into both of these other people. We got a little bit into Lyta. We saw a little bit more of her in this episode, kind of, you know, her trying to get closer to Seg. Clearly she is trying to gain his trust, trying to get him to see her as an ally. I don't really trust her character. And again, I mean, I'm not saying, I know some of you out there kind of ship, you know, her and Seg together, and like from a completely aesthetic point of view, they're both gorgeous. Of course, that makes sense in that level, but I don't trust her. I think she's got a lot of ulterior motives going on. I think she's got ulterior motives that her own father don't even know are going on. I have a theory, this is just my own theory, and maybe I'm wrong, that maybe that Lyta Vex might be working for Black Zero. I don't know why, but I feel like that'd be a really cool kind of side there. But I feel like she's working for Black Zero, and she's working as kind of an inner operative, and that she's manipulating her father, clearly, to get the information that Black Zero needs, but also, you know, just kind of using Seg because he's somebody who might have information that Black Zero would want to have. And obviously that computer that we discovered that that Val created, I mean, both the Krypton, both the Science Guild of Krypton and Black Zero would love to get access to something that powerful, right? So anyway, we got to see more about her. I don't know entirely if all of her motives are false. She might genuinely actually like Seg. I do think she's genuinely attracted to him. He's an attractive guy. But like I said, I don't think at this point she really is all about, let's just make this marriage work. I think she really is trying to use him, or somehow use him to get something out of her father. But it was very interesting in that last scene that we saw with Lyta and her father, that it looks like she's actually pulling the strings entirely. I thought maybe he might have been using her somewhat, but it seems to me like he's got little to no control over that girl, that she is running the show, and I kind of love that. I'm like, okay, girl, like, there's some really strong women in this show right off the bat, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but like, I really do like to see that this is a kind of a different dynamic, especially with a father-daughter in a superhero show, so I'm really digging that. As far as the other the Sagittari fiance of Lyta, I'm sorry, I'm going to get these names eventually. We didn't see much of him out in the first episode outside of seeing what looked like him kind of enjoying watching Lyta get her ass kicked by her mother, but we saw a different side to him. Like, he got a little more dimensions in this episode. We find out he had a big scar on his back. Apparently Black Zero, they did some sort of a terrorist attack and it killed his parents from the sounds of things, and almost killed him. And so he's a very understandable hatred for Black Zero. And while the former commander's idea of going in and just murdering Rankless for the sake of it was completely wrong, you understand why he was willing to forego his moral sense because of that sense of revenge and you know, an anger in him. So it was interesting to at least see where his hatred of Black Zero came from and why he was willing to kind of turn a blind eye to killing innocents. I really love that moment where he came into Lyta right before the fight and he was like, don't worry about the whole Sagittari, Kool-Aid, all that stuff. You're strong. He's like, I see you for who you are, and you are a strong person in your own way, and it has nothing to do with your mama, and it has nothing to do with being a Sagittari. You're strong because you know who you are, you know what's right, and you don't back down. So I really liked that he gave her that little speech. That was really cool, and like I said, I don't really dislike that guy now. I mean, if she's got to be married to someone, that's the guy you need to be married to, right? I guess we can kind of get back now to like the other, like the things about the women in this show. I really like that it seems like DC is really running with the momentum that they created with the Wonder Woman movie, of the idea of really showing empowered, strong, capable women in this universe. It's something that is long overdue in the comic book universe, and I'm glad that it seems like DC's really embracing it, because all the women we've seen on this show thus far, if you've noticed, have all been badasses. They're actually a little bit more badass than the men at this point, if you really think about it. I mean, we saw Seg's mama. I mean, she was just killing it in the first episode. And then we've got, of course, Lyta's mom just heading up. She's one of the head people in the Sagittari. She's obviously a badass fighter. She makes those tough calls, like, amazing. And now we've got, like I said, we've got Lyta, who maybe isn't necessarily the most physical person, but she's obviously a master manipulator, very smart. And, you know, again, kind of pulling strings in her own way. And then we've got Lyta, who got a chance to show, or Lyta, sorry, I keep saying that wrong. Lyta, who showed that not only is she strong in character, we've kind of seen that since the first episode, but this episode she proved that, you know, she can dig deep. The physical stuff, especially in the first episode, you know, her getting her butt kicked by her mother, I mean, come on. No matter how you were raised, I know myself personally, I'd have a real hard time lifting a hand to my mama. Trying to kick my mama's behind in front of people? I'd have to just take the beating. But I love that, you know, I think in Lyta's case, she's not physically aggressive because she doesn't want to be. You know, it's not that she can't be, and I think this episode showed that, no, it's not that she's not weak. It's not that she can't be brutal. She doesn't want to be. She doesn't think that's the only way to get things done. She doesn't want to be a blunt instrument, right? She wants to be someone who can find another way to help people or to establish order. I really love that fight scene. It was badass, first of all. Just really well choreographed. Liked it. It was believable. And what I really liked is, you know, sometimes in these types of shows, they don't know how to, like, especially for small women, because, like, that actress is clearly not a big girl, right? She's quite petite. I liked that fight was still realistic in that, yeah, she would probably get tossed around a few times. Yeah, if he hit her, it's gonna hurt a lot. But her fighting style, everything was very believable to me. And it just came across really, really well. It was choreographed awesomely, and it was great to just see her come up, and that moment where she stands up and she says that we are, you know, Sagittari, don't ask for mercy, and her face is covered in blood, and she's just, oh my God, that was such a great visual. Kudos to whoever directed that scene. It was awesome. And then the other part of that made it extra amazing is that later on her mom was like, okay, well, I see why you did this. It wasn't just to prove something to me. You did this to protect Seg. And I mean, for any of you out there, like I said, I know some of y'all don't ship Seg with Lyta, but like, that is kind of the ultimate show of love. Like, she was willing to die because she knew there was a very good chance she was not going to make it out of that alive. She was willing to die to protect Seg, even though Seg's all like, I don't even know if I want to talk to you right now because I'm mad at your mama. Like, that is, listen, y'all, that is what love is. Listen, brothers out there, this is what you need. You need a ride or die. That's a literal ride or die in Lyta. She's like, I'm willing to put my life down to make sure that Seg and the people he cares about aren't going to end up dead. That's what I'm gonna do because I love my man like that. So that was awesome. I thought that was a beautiful little declaration of love. That's one thing that DC has always done well, is the love stories. They're very much about those OTPs and those really strong relationships between two people. And I'm sorry, at this point, Seg and Lyta are it for me. Like, that's gold. You want a couple that love each other like that. And then finally, the other things around just, you know, figuring out the computer, for Seg figuring out the computer, figuring out how it works. I love how the intro tied in the blood going through the S to how Seg had to turn on the computer. That was amazing. I love that. It was great. It was subtle, but really, really smart. And, it's great that he now has that validation that what Adam is saying is true. The whole moment with the hologram, great callback to the movies that we've seen. But I also really love this. The best part of the scene between him and his grandfather for me was the reaffirmation to Seg that he couldn't give up his name. You know, I love how his grandfather was like, looked at that sigil on his chest like, that is not gonna happen. He's like, you need to make sure that our family and what we've done and our accomplishments and all the things that are enshrined here live on. And the only way that's gonna happen is if our name is still attached to it, right? So anyway, I'm glad that that speech happened and that Seg came away with that and was like, listen, Vex, I'm not taking your name. I am Seg-El. That's not gonna change just because you wanna, you know, try to control me. Not happening. I'll marry your daughter if I have to. You know, I'll work in the science guild, but we ain't getting close like that. We ain't fam like that. And you know, having the voice of Rao come in and be like, that's cool, I'm alright with it, right? I thought that part just made me happy because it was great to see Vex's face. He was like, oh my god, like I thought I was the mouthpiece. No. No, sir. You are a tool. You think you're the one pulling the strings, but you are a tool, both for your daughter and for the voice of Rao. Overall, like I said, very good episode. We had a lot happen again in this one, like in the first one, but again, with the pacing that's necessary for this short season, I think it's a good thing. So what do you guys think about this episode? How are you feeling about how this whole timeline is progressing? Do you like the pacing, or do you feel like they could take a step back and slow everything down? Also, how do you feel about this Lyta Vex girl? Like, where do you think her loyalties lie? Do you really think she is just working with her dad, or do you think maybe she's up to her own personal agenda? Please leave your comments below. You know I love reading those comments and getting involved in that conversation with you. And if you like this video, guys, please click like. And if you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. And if you haven't already, you can download the Stardust app and follow me there at GeekXXChic. I have reactions to all the shows that I watch there, and they're usually up faster than YouTube. Until next time, guys, see ya!